Welcome to the Beautifully Broken podcast designed to bring purpose to the broken through the words of our testimonies. Our prayer is to bring forgiveness, healing, and deliverance to others through the power of our testimonies and God's Word. It's time to raise up beautifully broken women who can live in His goodness daily, break generational curses, and live out His purpose for their lives. And I'm your host, Stephanie Bullock. Now let's dig in. Welcome back to Beautifully Broken Ministries podcast. In today's episode, it is going to grab your heart, it is going to open your eyes, and it will remind you of the incredible power of redemption. Today, I get the honor of sitting down with April Davis as she tells her story. Early in life, April gave her life to Christ. She was raised in church, but like many of us, she spent many of her early years just trying to fit in and belong. As she was a child, she was overweight, she was bullied, she was sheltered. She just had a longing for acceptance, and eventually that led her into relationships and choices that would change the course of her life. Her first marriage pulled her into a world of drugs. She watched friends overdose right in front of her eyes. She went through treatment only to be trapped into a whole nother world of addiction with Suboxone. Through 2 pregnancies, both of her babies were born addicted, and Child Protective Services was involved both times. She lost custody of her children not once, but twice, and eventually surrendered her rights altogether. Life spiraled even further. April lived homeless for over 2 years. She entered into another destructive relationship marked by addiction and violence. Soon after, she faced 4 felony charges for meth. She enrolled in drug court, but then she ran. She's been running all of her life, she mentions in her testimony, and she ran from everyone, including the law. Her journey led to a high-speed chase down Highway 90 on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, ending with a spike strip in Gulfport. But here's where the story changes. The day April not only surrendered to the law, she also surrendered to God. And from that moment forward, her life has been a living testimony of God's restoration, His healing, and His power to redeem what seems broken beyond repair. April's story is raw, it's real, and it is filled with hope for anyone who feels too far gone. So lean in, listen, because you are about to hear a powerful reminder that with God, no one is ever beyond His reach. Let's dive into my conversation with April Davis. Well, April, I'm so excited to have you with us today. I was super excited to see your beautiful face coming up my steps for so many reasons. And I know that your story is going to be one that's going to touch many lives. So thank you for being willing to share it with us. Why don't you start off by telling us where you grew up, what was your childhood like, those sorts of things.
Okay, well, I grew up in Hazelhurst, Mississippi. I was born in Hazelhurst, Mississippi. I am the oldest of 4 children.
Wow.
My childhood was pretty normal. I mean, just my parents are still married, so
Okay.
yeah, it was a pretty normal childhood. I call it sheltered.
Yeah.
More of a sheltered childhood. I
Sure.
mean, we were raised in church. Just was just normal. I mean, there was nothing I can remember tragic that happened in my childhood. Like I said, I call myself the experiment child because I was the oldest, and I say my parents tried everything out on me. So
Yep. I was the oldest too, so I get that.
yeah. So I mean, but other than that, it was a normal childhood. One of my sisters, actually, she has a mild case of cerebral palsy. So we went through some things with her growing up, my youngest sister. And, I remember a lot that went on with her, but I mean, as far as me, I mean, it was normal.
Okay.
I was very overweight as a child, and that does play into my story some. So I just need to put that out there. I was very overweight as a child. At 15, I was almost 300 pounds.
Okay.
So, and that you'll understand why I'm telling you that later.
Sure,
So,
sure.
But so I was very sheltered. I was bullied a lot as a child. But as far as going to school and all that, I graduated high school. I mean, it was normal.
Yeah.
I went to church all my life. I was very active in the youth group
Okay.
coming up, and really enjoyed it. It was did everything with the
Yeah.
youth. A lot of my childhood memories come from church.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, mine too.
so,
Mine too.
But
And when you say sheltered, were your parents were you sheltered or were they strict or were they both?
I think it was a little bit of both.
Because I think that plays into things.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of both. I mean, I wasn't allowed to go on a date with
Yeah.
a boy until I was 16.
Yep,
I mean, that was
me too.
that was the rules. My parents weren't. I called them strict. You know,
Sure.
if I went, but I mean, to this day, if I go to live at my parents' house, you got to be home by midnight.
Are you
I mean,
serious?
yes, that is how it is. So,
Well, they probably just don't want you waking them up. Is the thing now?
But
Yeah.
my mom will tell you that. I mean, that's the rules, and those are always going to be their rules. So that's just how they are. So
That's funny.
I
That's
mean,
funny.
so we were, but I mean, I was close with my siblings. I mean, I had one younger brother. There was 3 girls and a boy. So I mean,
Oh gosh.
of course
Poor child.
we thrived on just getting him to yell. You know.
Yeah.
That was just the thing. But I mean, as far as just, I mean, it was normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't, like I said, in high school, I was bullied a lot because of my weight. So I didn't play sports and do things like
Okay.
that. I didn't get into any drugs or alcohol, and I mean, maybe a little alcohol in high school, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it not hardly at all. I mean,
That sounds like me. I had never tried any alcohol at all until I went to college.
right.
So yeah, so it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
And so, so did you go to college?
Yes, I did. I graduated from Copi Academy in Gallman, and I went to Colin. I went for 1 year, and then I sat out a year, and then I went back for a year.
Okay.
I met my children's father, my first husband, when I was 19.
Okay.
So
At Colin?
he didn't go to Colin, but I met him through people that
Yeah,
were at
okay.
Colin. And also, just to backpedal just a little bit, when I was 15, and this plays into a lot, I lost 110 pounds when I was 15 in a year and a half. So by the time I was 16, I was normal size, you know?
Gotcha.
And so I went in one summer pretty much, I went back and I was half a person missing, you know?
Wow.
So things changed a lot for me my junior and senior
Okay.
year in high school, because I went from being the fat kid to being somewhat of a normal kid. And that's when I got involved a little in going to parties and trying to fit in.
Right.
Trying to fit in was a big deal for me at
Sure.
that point.
You wanted to belong.
Right. I always wanted to belong. So that's where the partying started, just, you know, a little. It was my senior year, and I went to college. And then first year of college, partied, just, you know, like a normal college kid, really. Just experimented a lot, and met my first husband, my children's dad, and he that was it, basically. I mean, I met him, and we were together for 11 years after that.
Oh,
So,
wow. Okay.
but when I met him partying. I mean, that was
Right.
what connected me and him was drugs and alcohol. And that's where I really started using drugs a lot. Just a lot of different hard drugs, just partying a lot with him. And like I said, I went to Colin for a year, and then I sat out a year, and then I went back for one more year, and was one semester away from getting an accounting degree, and
Oh, my
did
goodness.
not finish.
Oh my goodness.
But I was too occupied with other things.
Sure.
My kid's father that I met, it was a totally different world with him. He's an atheist. He doesn't believe in God. So it was a totally different world with him. You know, I was raised in church. I accepted Christ when I was a very young child, and so I started basically just living a whole nother life with him.
Sure.
And
I can relate to that too.
Yes, it was just completely different. And we partied every weekend, but I was still able to hold, I always had a good job, and still able to hold a job down. And we met when I was 19, and we didn't have my first child till I was 26.
Oh,
so
wow.
we had a big span,
Yeah.
a big time period there where it was nothing but partying.
Sure.
And using drugs. I would have a really good job for a little while, and then it would just, I would lose it. When I was about 22 or 23 is when I went from just partying and having fun to I got addicted to pain pills. That's what got me.
Yeah.
And so I went through the whole rigmarole of taking the Lortabs, and then it just opened up more doors of not just taking pain pills, but using things intravenously, and then it just went from one thing to another, and it was everything I did. My boyfriend at the time, my kid's dad, that's what he did too. So it just progressed.
What was it? Were you prescribed pain medicine for some reason, or did you just happen upon them and started taking them?
No, I got a staph infection in my eye.
Oh my!
And they gave me one little script of Lortabs for that.
Okay.
And that's what started it.
Okay.
And that's what started it, and it just went from there.
Yeah.
I just took off with it, and so I was still able to hold a job down, and then I would lose a job, and I would get another one, but we were able to manage.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things happened in that from 19 to 26. I mean, a lot of things happened. We saw a lot of people OD. We saw a lot of people die. One of our best friends, the guy that my son is named after, he overdosed at my hand.
Oh wow!
Overdosed on a fentanyl patch that I took him. So we dealt with that.
That's heavy.
Yeah. We went through a lot. It was a lot of things that just using the opiates put us through.
Yeah.
Like I said, I actually went and got a fentanyl patch, split it with him. I did half of it and did the same thing that he did, and he died and I didn't.
Oh wow!
So that happened, and then we had another friend die. He overdosed on methadone, and it was because it was methadone that I had taken him the day before. It wasn't things that I was purposely doing, but
Right.
it was things that were going on all around me in this world I was living in, and it was not good.
Yeah.
Not good at all. And so then we went through trying to get off the opiates and trying to get on Suboxone. We went through that. I was on, and so that's how I got off most, the opiates was getting on Suboxone, and it was a lot, just battling back and forth. I've been to treatment 5 times, but that's before I ever went to prison.
Wow.
I went to treatment 5 times, and it was just a lot of back and forth. I think the first time I went to treatment was probably in like 2008. I went to Pine Grove. That's where I got on Suboxone. Then we went from.
When you say got on Suboxone, so is that something that physicians will try to put you on to get you off?
Yes.
Okay.
It's an opiate, but it's got a blocker in it, and it gets you off the pain medication, but it just starts a whole new addiction. Because the withdrawal off Suboxone is worse than the withdrawal off of the opiates.
Wow. Okay.
So it was a miracle drug at the time.
Okay.
We thought we were doing these great things with it.
Right.
But it just traps you in addiction all over again. That's what it does. So, anyways, I ended up getting pregnant with my first child when I was 26, and That was right after all the madness had happened with my friends ODing, and I found out I was pregnant. The whole pregnancy, I was not able to stop getting high.
Wow.
I was not able to. And my son was actually born addicted to pain pills when he was born. He's perfectly normal today. So
Thank goodness.
thank goodness. But
Yeah.
I just wasn't able to stop. I couldn't, and I had a partner that wasn't going to stop and either. So it was, I couldn't. So I had Lyric, and we were still, like I said, I was able to hold a job, but it was just always something going on, just some kind of addiction, you know.
So when he was born addicted, did they take him?
CPS was called in, but they ended up letting me go home with him.
Really?
They did that time. that time. They ended up letting me go home with him. But I think, I can't remember. It's been so long because he's 14 now. There was something I had to go through with them. Like,
Sure,
I think
sure.
I had to take drug tests.
Yeah.
But, it was to the point where we were going through so much with CPS after we had Lyric, taking drug tests and things like that. Well, we were still getting high. And I remember sitting in the CPS parking lot, and the parking lot where Kim Carr in Brookhaven.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in her parking lot and watching my kid's father OD in the parking lot. Now we were going in to take a drug test. He ODs in the parking lot. I drive him to King's Daughters, and when we pull up, the nurses run outside and they hit him in the sternum, and he comes back, and then he makes me just drive off. I mean, it was just madness. It was
Wow.
craziness. So, I mean,
How did you think you were going to pass a drug test?
at the time we had figured out a way around. We had figured out a way to still be able to get high, and be able to pass the drug test.
Really?
Because at that point in time, they had not started testing for synthetic opiates.
Okay.
So we were doing fentanyl and Suboxone, and
Okay.
they weren't testing for it.
Okay.
So we were still able to get high, and that's what my kid's father OD'd on in the parking lot, was fentanyl.
Wow.
So I mean, it was just craziness, just ducking and dodging, and like I said, there was no sight of church or God or anything
No.
like that.
Yeah.
No. I mean, he's an atheist, so we couldn't even have a conversation about God without fighting.
At any point, though, because you were saved, so at any point, though, did you have that, what we call a gut check, but it's really the Holy Spirit? I mean, did you have conviction and guilt?
I mean, I carried guilt with me all the time. I knew what I was doing was wrong. I knew I wasn't living right. I knew the right way to go, but
You were just choosing self.
I was choosing self in the addiction.
Yep.
The devil had me. I mean,
Yeah.
it was no sight of just, it was just hopelessness is
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah.
And it was ducking and dodging, and we even tried moving out of state. So, and we moved out of state, and I got pregnant with Blaze, and I got pregnant with my little girl 3 years after we had Lyric, and that pregnancy was scary. It was really scary. I met somebody after I found out I was pregnant with her. I had started doing meth then, and pain pills, and just whatever else I could get my hands on, and I continued to do meth the whole time I was pregnant with her.
Wow.
And actually was high on meth and went into labor with her at home. And I had already been having Braxton Hicks and had already been to the hospital like 3 times, and they'd sent me home.
Yeah.
So that night I was high, and I knew I had been smoking meth that day, but I started hurting that night, and they were trying to get me to go to the hospital, and I was like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Number one, if I do have her at the hospital, they're going to take her from
Yeah.
me, so I'm not going. Well, the next morning, I finally decided I was going to get a bath and go, because I was hurting so bad. And I got in the bathtub, And I stood up. My friend Megan was there because I had been hurting so bad all night. Megan, my best friend, had stayed with me, and to make sure I was all right. And Josh, my kid's father, had gotten up that morning and went on to work at 7. And I got in the bath, and I stood up, and my water broke. And I got out of the bathtub, and I made it about 10 steps, and I hit the dining room floor, and she was here.
How far along were you?
She was a month early. So
Okay.
she was a month early. So and she was here. Megan delivered her.
Wow.
I don't really remember much of it. But Megan delivered her, and the ambulance came and got both of us, and they had to do what they do, and they took us to the hospital. And when I got to the hospital, I remember Dr. Gray telling me I needed to pee in a cup, and I said, I can't pee in a cup. I just had a baby. And she said, well, we'll put a catheter in you. And so they did. And I came up hot for meth, and my baby had meth in her system. And she was in the NICU for like 4 days because she couldn't latch onto a bottle or anything like that.
Oh, wow.
She was early. And she had meth in her system. Now, at that point, CPS did step in, and they would not let me take her home. So my mom came in, stepped in, and she took her home. At this point, we just lived a mile up the road from my mom anyways. Okay. So my mom came and got her from the hospital. CPS let her take her home, and I went and moved in with my mom for the first 8 weeks. And I didn't think I was going to make it those first 8 weeks because I had to get clean.
Sure.
Because they wanted a hair follicle test. After 3 months, they wanted a hair follicle test.
You was caught now.
Yeah. So I was forced. If you want your child,
Yep.
you got to get clean.
Yep.
So I stayed at my mom's, and I took care. She made me take care of her. It was not.
I would have too.
She made me. It was no. I'm gonna help you. No, this is your baby. You did this. I don't care if you're detoxing or whatever you're doing. You're gonna take care of her.
Yep.
And I did. And she was colicky, and she cried, and she screamed, and I cried and screamed. And my mom would just put us in the bedroom together and shut the door. Like she would be like, "This is on you."
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I made it through that. Me and their dad both did, and we passed a hair follicle test, and we took her home, and so then we decided we were living in Hazelhurst at that point, like a mile down the road from my mom. And we decided that we were going to move. And my mom had enough of the craziness, too.
Sure.
After having the baby at the house right there. And just, my mom had enough. Both my parents had. I put them through so much. And so we decided we were going to move back to Brookhaven. So we moved back to Brookhaven. And my aunt got us a house in Brookhaven. Paid 6 months worth of rent up.
Wow.
Put us in the house. All we had to do was pay the utilities.
Wow.
And
I need your aunt's name and number.
and well, and she did that for us, and we went to Brookhaven, and guess what we started doing again?
Yeah.
We started getting high.
Well, you didn't have to pay a rent or mortgage. You had the extra money.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was staying at home with the babies, and Josh was working. And so.
But let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
Let's stop right there. So you'd been clean for how long?
I had been clean for like 3 or 4 months.
Okay. 2 babies that you'd just gotten back.
Right.
That God had given back to you.
Right.
An aunt that said, let me help you.
Right.
Why did you use again?
Because I'll tell you, I know why. Because I went right back to the same people, places, and things.
Okay.
Because I have
circle.
Because I have found now, being clean for as long as I have,
Yep.
I have found that I have to isolate myself from those people. I don't add them on Facebook. I don't.
Thank you for adding me back.
Right. You're different. But I mean, like, the people that I ultimately used with, that I bought drugs from, that were in my circle.
Yes.
I've had, since I got home from prison, I've had to completely isolate myself from them.
Yeah.
And that is the only way that I've been able to that, and I've just completely changed my life, and just, it's just like a light switch is flipped. I mean, but the reason why I went back to using with my two babies is because I dove right back into the same people, places, and things.
Yep.
And
That's important. Somebody needs to hear that.
That's
Yep.
because when they tell you people, places, and things,
It's for a reason.
They're not. I mean, that's the key.
They're not being mean.
No, that's the key.
Yep.
That's it.
It is.
That's your way to sobriety. Right
It
there
is.
is God and people and places and things.
Yes.
I mean, it is, and we dove right back into it, and I don't really remember how long. I remember I had been running the streets, doing whatever, and just running with some people I shouldn't have, and phone calls were made, and Lisa Jackson ended up at my door.
Oh, goodness.
Knocking on my front door.
Oh, goodness.
And Lisa Jackson ended up knocking on my front door of my house in Brookhaven.
For those that don't know, Lisa don't play.
Yeah, she don't. And she's never played with me because she knows my parents. And I remember knocking on my front door, and I opened the door up, and she said, I had Blaze on my hip. And she said, Lyric was at school. And she said, I heard you've been doing meth. I'll never forget it.
Wow.
And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And she could look at me and tell I was just throwed off.
Yeah.
And she ended up just basically telling me, you can let me in your house right now, or I'm going to go to the... And mind you, I lived about 2 blocks from the courthouse, okay? I lived on that street that runs by Walgreens. I lived right there.
Oh, yeah.
So she said, you can either let me in your house right now, or I'm going to the courthouse to get a search warrant. And I was like, come on. So she came in and she went through my house, went through everything. She didn't really find anything other than she found some pills. And she called CPS. And when she called CPS, that's when we had to call Josh's parents to come get the kids. And they came and got the kids, and me and Josh stayed at that house without our babies for a few weeks. I remember staying in the bed for 2 weeks straight. I never got up. I wouldn't even get up to eat. And just miserable, just depression, just so upset because I didn't have my babies. So finally we decided we were going to move to Franklin County with where the kids were, where his parents live. And then rent, we had used up our 6 months rent anyway, so we had to go. Yeah. So we moved out there with them, and I wasn't out there very long. And I remember I had been clean off of the needle for a while. I had been using, but I hadn't been shooting up, and I had been an intravenous user for a long, long time. And so had their dad, and I was at their house. We were staying there, and Josh's dad found a needle in our bedroom. Well, I knew it was not mine because I knew what I had been doing, and I knew I had not been doing that. And Josh let me take the blame for it. And so I ended up leaving walking that day, and I never came back. Let's back up just, a month or two. After CPS stepped in and Josh's parents took the kids with them, we ended up signing over legal guardianship of the kids to his parents.
Okay.
Because we didn't want them in the system.
Correct.
We didn't want the state to have any say-so in anything.
I would have done the same thing. Yeah.
I felt like as a mother, to haul them around with me in the streets and around drugs and around the lifestyle I was living in would have been me being a bad mother. Mm-hmm. I don't think I was being a bad mother by giving my kids up. I think I was being more of a good mother by doing that because I knew I couldn't do it.
You were making a responsible choice because you were not willing to give up.
I knew I wasn't going to.
Correct.
So I just did what I had. We did what we had to do. So I ended up getting kicked out of Josh's parents' house, and I left walking. And of course, me and Josh ended up splitting after that. I mean, that was it for us. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me and him. And so I left and was in the streets for a little while, and I ended up meeting. I'm not gonna say a name. I don't
That's
feel
fine. You
like
don't
I
have to.
should.
That's fine.
But he was a dope boy, and so I
What's
ended
that
up.
mean?
He was the drug man. He was the one selling drugs
Okay.
in Lincoln County, and everybody, that's where everybody went to get what they wanted, and I ended up dating him, and that lasted for a good while. Of course, I couldn't have my kids around him or anything like that, and I actually had us living in a pretty good living situation, and he ended up stealing everything that the property owners, he ended up stealing from them, so we had to leave from there, and we went to live in a trailer out in Enterprise, and of course he ended up getting busted, you know, big drug raid at lunchtime in the middle of the day.
Wow.
And they take him to jail, and where's that leave me again? Right back on the street.
Yep.
And at that point is when I was heavily using meth, very much. Like I still look back at pictures to this day, and you can see the bones, and it was bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad. But that's when I ended up really being in the streets, and I ended up being homeless for like 2.5 years.
So you lived in the streets for 2.5 years?
Yeah, wherever I could lay my head.
Really?
Yes. I didn't have a home. I floated around. There were nights I slept in the woods. There were nights, and at this point, my parents were done.
Sure.
And at the time, I hated them for it, and I didn't understand it, and I really thought they just didn't love me.
But they couldn't keep enabling you.
No, and my mom will tell you to this day, she finally had to get to a point to get some peace about the situation where she just had to put it in God's hands and say, you know what happens to her, but because she was going to bed every night worrying about me, and not being able to sleep at night, not knowing where I was at or what I was doing or if I was alive, and it was just, so they were done. And I would call her and I would say, Mama, I don't have anywhere to sleep. It's cold and it's raining outside. I don't have anywhere to go. And she would say, I'll come get you, but you're going to a homeless shelter or you're going
Right.
to rehab. You're not,
Right.
you cannot come here.
Yep.
You cannot come here.
Yep.
And I thought at the time, I really thought my
Sure.
parents hated me,
Yeah.
and I hated them for a little while, and it was, but I know now better. I know better now,
Sure.
and so I stayed in the streets for about 2.5 years, just around Brookhaven, and that's when I met my husband now, and Jason. He found me on Facebook and decided he wanted to meet me, and I was not having it. And so I realized he had a house.
Here we go.
He had a safe place for me to go.
Yep.
And I had not felt safe in a long, long time. I had been in the streets. I had been raped. I had been through so much, and been through things that nobody should have to go through, just so I could get high. Meth really took me. It did. The meth epidemic is real. It's very real, and it took me. And and everybody that knows me, and most people in Lincoln County know who I am. And they'll tell you I'm not a bad person. The drugs just had me.
Yeah.
And so I met Jason, and I moved in with him, and 2 weeks in, he decided he didn't want me there no more, and I sat out on the slab, on the concrete slab in front of his trailer, and told the police I was not leaving. So I did. And he got high, so it was the perfect situation for me, I thought at the time, because he got high, I got high, he had a house. Okay, this might work.
Right.
So I met him, and he was doing meth, and so was I, and I realized, it became a very volatile situation. It became a very abusive situation, and it wasn't him. It wasn't just him abusing me. It was both ways.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we would fight, but we would physically fight.
Wow.
You know, I can't tell you how many domestic violence charges I have, and that he has.
Wow.
And he's actually on probation for felony domestic violence right now from domestic violence charges that happened while we were using.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Your current husband
Yes.
has felony domestic.
Yes, he's on probation for aggravated domestic violence because of
On you.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's not funny, but it is funny.
I mean, it's crazy now because I tell you what, now he is the most kind-hearted and gentle and
but you're both clean.
yes.
That's the difference.
Yes. Because everybody used to tell me, you got to get away from him. He's crazy. Well, I was just as crazy as he was. You know? And I mean, I was the type that would punch you in the face going down the road and then jump out the vehicle while I was going 70 miles an hour down the road, and I did not care. If I decided I didn't want to be in that situation anymore, I was getting out of it.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, and that's just how it was. So it was craziness. And after a year of us being together, we got married.
Okay.
And of course, there were times he would go to jail and I would go to jail, and we would get clean and we would try, but it just never stuck. I mean, and then after we had been married for a year, he got in some trouble for something. I don't remember what it was. And I ended up getting him into Friends of Alcoholics, which is a treatment program. It's a Christian-based treatment program in Jackson.
Okay.
And I got him in there the first go-round, and he did his little 42 days, and he told his probation officer that's all he had to do, and he was coming home. He came home. And so it was just craziness. Like I said,
Y'all were still using.
yes, I mean,
Okay.
off and on we had always been, and like I said, it was just a lot of drugs, a lot of intravenous using, a lot of domestic violence.
So you went back to the needle.
I've always ended up back on the needle every time. I mean, always, and he used it. He did it the same way. So I mean, it was just, and it was craziness. And you know, I remember us fighting, and I would just leave walking. And I remember it would be pitch black dark. I had no flashlight, and I would be walking down the road, and I'd be like, God, if you don't want me to be in this situation, then change it. Do something. Change it. You know, and I would just walk down the road in the pitch black dark and just talk to God and beg him if I wasn't supposed to be with Jason to get me out of it, you know. And everything we always ended up back together. And you know, everybody always thought he beat on me, but it was both ways. It wasn't just him. I mean, I fought back, you know, and I a lot of times I fought anyways. It wasn't me just fighting back.
Right.
And so, you know, we were together a year. We got married, and then he went to treatment and come home, and it was just the same old things over and over again. And I ended up eventually, I got arrested for possession of meth 3 different times in like a year and a half. So that's 3 felonies in a year and a half. It might have been 4. It was 3 or 4. And I knew eventually he would bond me out of jail, and I'd get out, you know, and we go back to the same thing over and over again. And I knew eventually that I was going to have to answer for everything, but I didn't know what was going to happen. So we ended up, that's when you met me, I think.
Okay.
I think that's when you met me, because we ended up trying to move out to like NOLA area,
Yep.
remember?
Yep.
And
So that was drug court.
that's when I had started drug court.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's just a whole nother fiasco that I don't know what I was thinking. And you know, Clay Woolley, I will tell you right now, he knew from the jump that I was not going to be able to do drug court. He did not want me in drug court, and I don't blame him. I do not blame him. I mean, I was mad at the time, but now I see, you know, and I had to answer for all the felony charges I had accumulated, and Jason had like 2 domestic violence charge misdemeanors already. So if he got one more, if he got in any more trouble, he was going away too. I knew that. So
Was he in drug court as well?
no.
Okay.
No, he was not. He had just gotten some misdemeanor charges, and he wasn't on drug court. I ended up having to take drug court for the felony charges, and I went to be sentenced for drug court, and I was so high that I couldn't speak. The judge,
Wow.
yes, I walked in the courtroom, and Judge Taylor had to tell me, ma'am, you can't just nod your head at me to answer me. You have to speak. And
Wow.
so that's how I started drug court, okay? So
Wow.
then I had to go the
You
next
started drug court high.
very high. Then I had to go the next day and see Clay in Macomb and take my drug test, and of course, and get my ankle monitor. And of course, I just told him when I walked in, I'm not, I'm not,
Yeah.
I've been up, I'm not, whatever. And that's your only chance with them.
Correct.
That first day.
Correct.
So I knew that, and I took full advantage of that. And so, I got my ankle monitor, and we ended up trying to move out to the NOLA area, and Jason and I got in a fight. I was clean. I had gotten cleaned up, and he was still using, and we ended up getting in a fight, and the law got called, and he got arrested for another domestic violence charge, 3rd strike. So he goes to jail, and then I'm left.
Is that when you come and stayed with me?
Mm-hmm. It is. I'm left fending for myself again out here.
Y'all didn't have any lights?
No, there was no lights or water out there yet.
Yeah,
We were just
no
trying
lights
to
or
get
water.
moved in. I think we got the lights on, but we were just trying to get moved in.
Mm-hmm.
And he went to jail, and so I knew they were going to send him to prison. So I was trying to figure out a way to get him out of going to prison, and I didn't press the domestic violence charges on him. The police did,
Right.
so I couldn't
Right.
drop them.
Correct.
So he's sitting in jail, and I'm left out here trying to figure it out on drug court, and it was a mess. And I couldn't, I don't know. I don't even remember. I ended up finally finding a place to stay in West Lincoln, but it was with a friend that was getting high. So I'm renting a camper from her, and Jason's in jail, and I made it. I started drug court in October of 2022. I made it to January of 2020, January the 27th of 2023. That's what, 3 or 4 months?
Yeah.
I ended up running from drug court. I ran to the coast. Before all that happened, it did end up getting Jason back into Friends of Alcoholics.
Yeah, I remember he didn't go away for very long.
No, he went to Friends of Alcoholics again.
Because I'll be honest, when I found out he got out, I was like, they're about to go down the hole again.
Right. Well, we ended up...
Because you quit. You quit coming to CR. I didn't see you at church anymore. You quit answering my text.
I ran.
Yeah.
I ran, and I ran from drug
You thought I was the
court.
popo?
No,
I'm joking.
But I wouldn't talk to anybody from
You
Brookhaven.
weren't. You
Look,
weren't.
I wouldn't talk. The only person I would communicate with from Brookhaven was Whitney.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep.
I would not talk to anyone from Brookhaven because I didn't want anybody to know where I was because I knew the law was looking for
Yep.
me. And he went to treatment. He went to Friends of Alcoholics again.
Okay.
So we get him in treatment, and he agrees to do a year in treatment. Okay.
I would too, versus going to prison.
Right.
Come
so
on.
he's looking at a 10, 15-year prison sentence versus that. So he agrees to go to treatment. He goes to treatment. So, and then I'm left, okay, living in a camper in West Lincoln around people that are getting high. I start dabbling again, get some sanctions, have to go to jail,
Sanctions from drug court?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after the second sanction, you only get 3, So after the second one, it was December, and I knew in December that drug court only meets like one time in December, and then they all take off. At the 1st of December, I sat Clay down and John Douglas down. I went in the drug court office, and I said, I cannot stop getting high. Y'all have got to send me to inpatient treatment somewhere. And they were like, look, it's the 1st of December. We're leaving to take the rest of the month off today. You're going to have to wait. Just wait till after Christmas. Clay said, I'm going to let you spend Christmas with your kids. He said, so wait till after Christmas. And I was like, okay. Well, that was not a good idea at all. So I was left to my own devices for the next 3 weeks, and ended up right after Christmas. I spent Christmas with my kids, and then right after Christmas, instead of going to Face the Music and trying to go to treatment somewhere or face whatever Clay was going to give me because I knew I had been messing up, I ran, and I ran to the coast.
And that's why when somebody cries for help, you help them right then.
Yeah. Because I did. I sat them down and I said, I cannot stop getting high. And they were like, what? And I was like, no, y'all don't understand. I can't stop. And I was like, I don't have my husband anymore. And then and not only did I stop communicating with y'all, Jason's in rehab, and I cut off all communication with him. I wouldn't even talk to him. Like, he didn't know. I was in his truck. He didn't know where I was. Nothing. And I ran to the coast, and went to the coast right after Christmas, and I made it less than a month, and was on Highway 90 going to the casino, on the way to the casino, and I ran up on a roadblock, and instead of going through the roadblock, because I knew I was running from drug court, so as soon as they ran my name, they were going to arrest me. So instead of going through the roadblock and just facing the music, I ran again.
Oh, no.
As I've always been a runner. And I took them on a high-speed chase down Highway 90.
Oh, my goodness. That's awful.
All the way from Bay St. Louis to Gulfport.
April.
I did.
It's a wonder you're
I
alive.
didn't hear about all that.
I don't guess. I don't watch the news.
That's what happened to me. I did a U-turn in front of the roadblock. I was high. And I did a U-turn in front of the roadblock instead of just going through it, giving them my name, and letting them take me to jail, and letting Lincoln County just come get me. Instead, I did a U-turn in front of the roadblock, made it from Bay St. Louis all the way to Gulfport.
Oh, my goodness.
Before I stopped. And the only reason I stopped is because the tires were flat, and
Had they rolled out the thing?
Yeah, they rolled out the spike strips, and I ran those over, and I rode on flat tires from Long Beach to Gulfport until there were sparks flying, and I had to stop. The car wouldn't go anymore.
So nobody was hurt?
Nobody was hurt. I was by myself.
But, I mean, you didn't hurt anybody else?
No, I didn't cause any accidents or anything like that. I don't know how I didn't. But I ended up...
Yeah, because 90 is not...
No, yeah,
It's
I know.
busy, busy, busy.
Yes, but this was 11 o'clock at night, but it's
still busy.
Yeah, and so I stopped in Gulfport. I got out of the car. They charged me with felony fleeing, and they charged me with 14 misdemeanors.
Yeah.
And so not only did I have the drug court to face in Lincoln County, and then I had a whole new set of felonies and misdemeanors
that you just committed
in Harrison County. So I stayed in Harrison County for 8 months, and then they sent me to prison for drug and alcohol treatment, but I still had to go to prison to do it. I completed that and went back to Harrison County, and that's when Lincoln County came and got me. And I had to go in front of Judge Taylor.
So you did 8 months in Harrison, then you went to prison for how long?
For 6 months.
And then back to Harrison for how long?
About 2 weeks, and then Lincoln County came.
It was really a holding pattern until Lincoln County got you.
They came and got me. And
who came and got you?
Mr. Randy.
Okay.
From the jail. He came and got me. And that's when I had to face the music with drug court. And I only had 3 years lingering over my head, so I knew the punishment they usually give you for running from drug court for a violation like that is drug and alcohol treatment. Well, Harrison County had already sent me to do
done that.
And I had my certificate.
Yeah.
So I go to Lincoln County, and I go to court, and here comes Clay, and he sees me. And I said, I need to give you this certificate for drug and alcohol treatment. He said, I don't want anything from you. And I said, okay. So I took it in the courtroom with me, and I Judge Taylor showed me some leniency, and it was only by the grace of God he did that. I had 3 years I was supposed to back up, for drug court. And he said,
What does that mean? That means you were
I
supposed to
had
serve 3 years
3 years
because you had
in
run.
prison.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Basically, when they put you on drug court, they put an amount of time over your head if you don't complete
I
drug
gotcha.
court.
Okay.
Well, mine was 3 years, and when I went in, I showed him my certificate. He said, "Well, I would normally sentence you to long-term drug and alcohol treatment." He said, "But since you've already done that, the only choice I have is to, is to give you your time back." And I said, "Okay." And he said, since you've already served all this time in Harrison County and you've already been to prison, he said, "I'm going to give you the 3 years back." He said, "But I'm going to suspend 2 of them. So you only have 1 to serve."
Wow.
And I was like, so that, and that meant I was going to have to go back to prison, but I wasn't going to have to be there but about 3 or 4 months. Because when you get a year to serve, you only have to do 3 months on that.
Why did he suspend 2?
Because I had already been locked up for so long.
Oh, just because of the length of time. You kind of
basically,
served
time
it.
served me is what he
Okay.
did.
I gotcha.
And he just gave me that 1 year, so I just would go process into prison, sit there for about 3 months, but here's the catch with that. I did have to go back to prison and process in. Okay, well then you go up for parole. Well, you don't know if they're going to grant you parole or
No.
not. They
No.
don't have to.
No.
So I'm sitting in prison, and everybody around me's getting denied. Everybody that has the same amount of time as me.
Oh, no.
Everybody that has
Oh, no.
the same amount of time as me, the same everything, I'm getting denied. And by the grace of God, they granted me parole. And just to back up a little bit, Jason did go to rehab for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I got called in Harrison County, I had cut off all communication with him. So I called my mom and I said, "Look, you got to call Jason and let him know I'm sorry," and I'm just sobbing. And so I get back in contact with him, and he was getting a 15-minute phone call like every week. Well, they were letting me call him at the rehab from prison. They were accepting the calls and letting me talk to him like every other day.
Oh, wow.
And he completely supported me the whole time I was in jail and locked up. Even though I had cut off all communication with him, I had turned my back on him completely while he was in treatment.
Wow.
He took care of me the whole time I was going through everything with the justice system. He was there for me the whole time, and had my back. And so, in order to get granted parole, you have to have a place to parole out to live.
Okay.
Well, I had burned all my bridges.
Yeah.
So by the time I came up for parole, Jason had completed his year at the treatment center, and he had gone on staff there.
Oh, wow.
And he was working there. So he was working there, and he went to the director, and he said, "Look," he said, "April's supposed to be coming up for parole, and I don't have anywhere for her to go. Can she come here?" This is an all-men's facility now.
Okay.
And he's on staff there. He said, "Could we move into one of the houses that is on the property, and it'd be like a staff house," and she lived there with me. And they prayed about it. That was their first response. "Well, let us pray about it."
Sure.
And they prayed about it, and they decided to allow me to come live there when I was granted parole. And so I ended up making parole, even though I didn't think I was going to, and I went back into prison on my birthday, April the 9th,
Oh, my gosh.
2024.
That's Chasten's birthday.
My birthday too.
Ah.
So I ended up going back into prison for the second time in 18 months on my birthday, and I was there from April the 9th to June the 13th, and I paroled out, and I came to live with Jason at the treatment center. So I'm at an all-men's facility treatment center. I'm the only woman living there.
Oh, my
And,
goodness.
I mean, these are awesome Christian people.
Sure.
I mean, their ministry is completely faith-based. They don't do any 12-step, and they said that they believe that a drug problem is a sin problem. It's not.
Yep.
It's not a substance abuse problem. It's a sin problem. Just like it would be for watching pornography or
Yep.
anything.
It's a heart problem. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a heart problem and it's a sin problem.
It
And
is.
until
It
you
is.
fix your heart,
That's
it's
right.
not.
That's
You're
right.
not going to get any better.
Nope.
And they fully believe that.
Yep.
And so I came home to a great support system there. You know, the director and his son that run it, I mean, they're amazing people. If I had to choose anywhere to send anybody to treatment, that was a man, that's where I would send them. And I came to live there, and you know, I just came out with a totally different view on things. You know, I was tired when I went to jail.
I bet.
I was very tired and I was worn out, and I got to rest for 18 months. And when I came home, I had a totally different view on everything.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to live like that anymore. So I came home to Jason. You know, he's working at the ministry, but they're not paying him. They're letting us live there.
Right.
So, you know, a week after I was home, I was like, man, I got to get a job. You know,
Right.
I understand, you know, you get a check every month, you know, but we can't, that's not enough for us to survive on. And we got to start building for a future somehow. So, I was applying for jobs on Indeed, and I came across this job that said gotta go, and I was like, Jason, this is. I said, Jason, this job says it's on Highway 49, you know, and Friends of Alcoholics is on Highway 49.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, it's right up the road. He said, we know those people. They hire people from here sometimes. And I was like, really? He was like, yeah. He said, fill out the application. He said, as a matter of fact, get in the car right now. I'm taking you up there, and you're going to go in there and talk to them.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm 2 weeks out of prison, and I'm not talking to anybody. I don't want to see anyone. And he was like, oh, no, we're going.
Oh, wow.
So he puts me in the car and drives me to Gotta Go and makes me get out of the car. And
For those that don't know, the reason I laughed when you said gotta go is because this porta potties.
Yes, it is.
This is a porta potty company. Gotta go.
Yeah,
That's right.
It is. And they were hiring for accounts receivable. And, you know, and mind you, my work history, I've had some awesome jobs on my resume, some really awesome jobs. But there's a gap in my employment of like
Sure.
6, 7, 8 years.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And then
How do you explain that?
Right. And then how do you explain, well, I just got out of prison?
Yeah.
Well, I did go in and I talked to that lady. Her name's Lauren McGraw. She used to be the owner of Gotta Go. She's sold out since then, but she used to be the owner there. And I walked in and I said, I need, you know, I need a job. And she brought me in her office, and I sat in there and I talked with her for an hour and a half. And I told her, I said, look, I said, this is what's been going on with me. This is what happened. I told her everything. I said, and I just got out of prison 2 weeks ago, and I need you to give me a chance. And she did.
Wow.
2 weeks out of prison, she gave me a chance. So I had gotten a job. We're living at the ministry. I'm surrounded by, you know, great Christian people. Just, it's a great atmosphere. You know, finally back going into church every Sunday. Just, you know, like I said, people, places, and things is real.
Yep.
It's so real.
It is.
And things started happening in my life, man, when I was living at that ministry.
Yeah.
And it's things that I can't explain, not at all. I got that job, and it just took off from there. I started seeing my kids again, and they were back with their grandparents. They had been living with their dad for a period of time, and they had to be pulled out of that home. So they were at back at their grandparents, and I knew they had been through some things. I didn't know details, but I knew. So I started getting them. My grandmother's house, which is a mile down the road from my mom and dad, was empty. It's a nice brick home, big 2-car garage, just very nice. But my grandmother passed away while I was using in those years, and it was empty. So my parents put a a big screen TV in it. It already had a couch in it, and we put beds in each bedroom. And so I would get my kids, and instead of me and Jason were living in this tiny house.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Staff housing.
Yeah, we had no room to have them on the weekends. So Mom would let me get the kids, and at first I would stay with them at her house on the weekends.
Yep.
But then we kind of digressed to them staying at my grandmother's house with me. Well, Christmas came, and I had just made it up in my mind that I was moving in that house. And my mom kept telling me, look, it's just not, my aunt owns the house. It was, she got it when my grandmother
The same
died.
aunt that gave you 6 months worth of rent before?
Yes,
Yeah.
the same aunt that I completely just burnt all my bridges with. And she had never done anything but help me. And Mom was like, it's just not time yet. You got to give it some time. Well, finally, at Christmas, I put TVs in the kids' bedrooms, and I decorated both of their bedrooms, and I made up my mind I was moving in this house, And, I haven't had my kids in 9 years. They haven't lived with me in 9 years. I've missed their whole childhood.
Yeah.
And Lyric's 14 and Blaze is 11 now. And so we went, and Mom just called me one weekend, and she was like, okay, y'all can come move in. And I was like, all right. So we moved down there, and
Wow.
and my kids came to stay with me that weekend, and they never went back home.
Oh, wow.
Like, they came to stay with me, and I called their grandparents, and I was like, they really want to stay here. And they were like, okay, well, get them in school. They can stay.
Wow.
And so
So you had rebuilt that trust already.
Yeah, I'd been working on it, though.
Yeah.
From the time I got, that's one thing, in prison you have a lot of time to sit and think.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I made up my mind in prison, was that I was getting my kids back.
Yeah.
I didn't care what I had to do. I was getting my kids back.
Yeah.
And I wanted a chance to be a mom, again. I wanted to learn how to be a mom again. I had not been a mom in 9 years, and I had just been an absent mother and hadn't been there. And, it's so crazy because kids, they don't care about all that.
They're resilient. I mean, there will be some consequences and things that they'll have to work through. Even my kids had to work through some stuff in their teenage years from my divorce from their dad, but God worked it all out for good.
Like Blaze and Lyric are in counseling now.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's one thing, I have tried to just make the things that my children went through when they weren't in my care for those 9 years were horrific. And it was things that was going on behind closed doors that nobody knew about, and that didn't come out till they came to live with me. And they, and they accidentally told me. They didn't really want to tell me, but I'm glad it came out.
Right.
Because now, there's a lot of things that make a lot of sense, but, their grandparents, Josh's parents, they allowed them to go live with their dad while I was still messing up, because they thought everything was okay.
Yeah, right. Sure.
That's what they thought. They didn't know. They didn't know what was going on. And, eventually their dad started using again, and they had to be pulled from the home again. And so they've been through so much trauma everywhere, and I had to learn how to be a mom again.
Yeah.
With a teenager.
Yeah.
With teenagers.
Yeah, good luck with that.
And that's not fair.
That's not fair to anybody.
Not fair. Even my own mom was like, that's not fair. But I mean,
thank God you have the opportunity.
Yeah. And God has just put, when you make up your mind that you want to do the right thing and you want to live right, you don't even have to try to attain anything.
Mm-mm.
God just gives it to you.
He does. He does.
And like,
he's always faithful.
Man, he's faithful, and I'm a living testimony of it, because I don't deserve anything.
No, none of us do.
And I got out of prison in June. Okay.
Of last year.
2024. I've been out a year and a couple months. In a year and 2-3 months, I have gotten a job. Actually, I have 2 jobs now.
Yeah.
Um, I've gotten my kids back.
Yep.
I've bought 2 vehicles.
Yep.
I, it,
You have a house.
I mean, yes, and I have a house that
And you have a supportive husband.
right, and I
that's
have
living for Christ as well.
exactly, and I have a house I live in rent free.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's my grandmother's old house.
Oh, that's right.
So I mean, I'm blessed. It's just blessings everywhere.
God has restored everything, even the relationship with your parents, your children's grandparents, which is needed. They still need their grandparents in their life. And the fact that they were like, yeah, they can stay. Like that is just proof that God can take the most shattered pieces, and put them back together and make things more beautiful than they were before.
Exactly. And things aren't perfect by any means.
Well, they're never going to be perfect.
But man, I strive every day for it to be better, you know, and not only, you know, when we moved from the ministry, I knew we had to find a home church somewhere, you know.
Yep.
Well, I was raised at Harmony Baptist in Crystal Springs.
Okay.
That's where I grew up in church. They have a great youth group there.
Yes.
They have a great support system there.
Jonathan Sherwin,
he is
pastor there.
Awesome. Yep. He is amazing.
They have a great body of people there.
Yes.
Yes.
And so I told Jason, I was like, you know, we got to get the kids in church somewhere. Not only do we need to be in church somewhere, but
that's right.
They need to be in church somewhere.
The circle matters.
Right. I said they need to be surrounded by good people,
that's
by
right.
Christian people.
That's right.
So I decided we were going to start going to Harmony. And we did, and Lyric got very involved in the youth group, and he went to camps all summer, and he just got baptized about a month ago.
Oh, wow. Wow.
He accepted Christ over the summer, and
that's awesome.
Yes. So, like I said,
was that the Sunday they baptized a lot of people?
Yeah, he was one of them.
I saw that. Yes. Oh my gosh. A lot of our Emmaus family goes to church there.
Yeah, they do.
Yep.
So, but
have you ever been to Emmaus?
No, but I would love to go.
Okay.
I think it would be awesome. Okay. An awesome experience. I want Lyric to do Chrysalis so bad.
Yes.
He's not old enough. He wasn't old enough this year. He'll be old enough next year.
Okay. My Walker did it a couple of summers ago, and
he'll be old enough next year. So.
Yes.
They asked him if he wanted to go, and then I told Joe, I was like, man, he's only 14. He can't go.
Yeah.
He was
yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah. So we've gotten in around a great group of people. I just wanted to go back to where I grew up, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know anything about Jonathan when I started going there, but he is amazing. He's an amazing person.
That whole that whole body's done really great things with the church with God's help. And it's a thriving church, Bible believing.
Yes.
Very, very great group of believers to be around. I'm so excited that's where you're going. I had no idea.
Yes,
that's great.
That's where we're at.
That is great.
Like I've been a member there since I was a child.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
So
your letter's there.
Yeah.
We joke about the letters.
My letter.
I don't know where my letter is. What's the letter? I'm just joking. Everybody calm down. Calm down. So if you could give one piece of advice to somebody who is listening that maybe they're in that vicious cycle, they've started using again, or maybe they're not. Maybe they're clean and they don't have their kids back yet. What piece of advice would you give to somebody that's listening?
Just basically trust in God, and if you are around the wrong people, places, and things, put yourself around godly people that have the same goals, and it's the same goals as you. I'm telling you, when I came out of prison and I decided that I was going to live the right way and get involved and put in the footwork to do better, I didn't have to work for anything. God just blessed me with everything that come my way. And when a problem came my way and I thought I wasn't going to make it through it, He'd throw another blessing at me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, if you're faithful, He's faithful.
That's right.
And that's all I can say. Like, if you are faithful, He is going to be faithful.
Every time.
Every single time. I mean, there have been times where I felt defeated and did not know how I was gonna fix something.
Come on.
And then you know, just the next day he put an idea in my head or showed me how he was gonna fix it.
That's right.
you know, or he put people in my life to help me fix it.
Yep.
You know, I did get a great job right out of prison, but you know, some things happened with the amount of money I was making, and then I got my kids back, so I knew financially I had to do more.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how I was going to do that, and I'm telling you, like, I thought, well, I can just pick up a few houses to clean on the side, and then he just put people in my life, like. They found me on Facebook, you know, these great people, and they have been wonderful to me,
Yeah.
and just, you know, made sure that and especially with my children, if I don't have it and I can't provide it, they're going to help me provide it.
Wow.
And that's God.
Yeah.
He put those people in my life. I
Yeah.
didn't ask for those people, and
Yeah.
I've told those people, I don't know what I did to deserve y'all,
Yep.
but I didn't do anything to deserve them, you know. But at the end of the day, you have to remain faithful. You have to put in the footwork. You have to do your part, and he's not only gonna just meet you halfway. He's gonna meet you the whole way.
Yes.
Every
Amen.
single time.
Amen.
Every single time.
Well, April, I am so thankful, first and foremost, that you are back in my life, and that you're doing so well. I mean, you are glowing. I mean, when you came up the steps this afternoon, I could already tell a difference in you. And I'm so thankful. And I didn't know you had your kids back until you got here today, and that was a super surprise for me, because I know how important that relationship is. So I'm just thankful that you were willing to share. Thank you for reaching out and saying, hey, I want to share my testimony, because I know that there are people out there that are in the same shoes, in the same boat, and your story is going to be a blessing to them. So thank you for sharing today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.